Alright, so it turns out that option number 4 is the correct loop that will test if there is a single lowercase character in our string. But how do we explain how this loop works, even though this is the correct answer? So let me just make a note of what the function is supposed to find. It's supposed to check if any lowercase characters exist. Alright, so why does this one work? Why does option number 4 work in the example shown in the textbook and in Unit 5 discussion? So we won't really get an idea of what this does just by, looking at this here, because we need to actually use a string. So let's go ahead and put one in. So let's call our string, let's see, we can call it anything we want, but let's call it sugar. Alright, so we'll put quotation marks around that. And this will be sent to the function called any lowercase. Alright, so this is the argument that we are passing to the function. Alright, of course we still wouldn't see anything because this function doesn't print anything, so we need to actually print the result of what this function, when it is called, what it does. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this. Alright, so it says true because, as you can see here, sugar does have lowercase characters there. But what is actually happening in this loop as it's looping through? It says for C in S, so we know that S is a string, so the string is sugar. So for C in sugar, what happens? To figure that out, it's important that we actually, so let me comment this one out first. It's important that we put a print function here so we can see what happens each time in the loop. So we're going to print, and we want to print flag. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this. Alright, I'll need to uncomment this line here because it does not have anything to run. Alright, so notice now it prints false at first. Okay, and that's because it's comparing the first letter in the string. So for C and S, so first of all, it'll be C.isLower here, which will be using the value capital S. So what do we say here? Is this true or false? It was already false to start with, okay? So it's saying flag is equal to flag, or okay, so that means flag is equal to false or whatever this is. So it would be false or false. So flag is going to be false at that time there. Now the next time is going to be letter U. So it's going to say flag equals false or true. And when you have an OR statement, it's going to evaluate to true. Okay, we can experiment with this and show if we have a common S, for example. Let's change the sugar here to a common S right here. So we're making the changes here. Change to experiment. That's what we're going to be doing. So I want to understand how the loop works. Notice that it doesn't say false at the start because the first letter is lowercase. So the for loop, C will take the value of each individual letter. That's what the for loop is actually doing, okay? So when you add a print statement, it actually helps to see what happens inside of a loop. So this is a technique that you can use by adding a print statement. You can see how a loop changes its values, okay? Experiment with this. You can try different patterns. You can try having a capital letter at the end and see what happens. You can try different ways of doing that. There is another interesting way of doing a check to see how exactly you would have known if there was a lowercase letter there. Alright, so let's get that new code, and let me just show you how much simpler it can be. Okay, so okay, so let's say okay, a string, so let's say s is equal to color. Alright, so we have a variable there, so we can use the any function, and it says any, and it takes values, of course. So we're going to use s dot is lower for C in S, because we're using S there. Okay, of course we wouldn't see anything unless we print, so we have to enclose this in a print. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this. Or we probably need to have a print statement here to make a space between the first one that we have there. Second test for lowercase made simpler. Let's run this. Alright, so indeed color did have a lowercase there, so it did print true, and we know that this is the one that is using the simplified. Well, I'm saying simplified because it's shorter. Let's go ahead and make it all uppercase and see if it tells us false as we would expect it to. Let's go ahead and run, and it does say false. So the any function, which is any and then two curved brackets, is a simpler way if you want to check to see if something exists, if there's any occurrence of something. So yes, you do get the algorithm working this way, but you know, when you want to have less work, that's another way you can try it. So that's a bonus that you can learn from. Alright, so be sure to leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this video. Be sure to like and share as well.